Welcome to another edition of the Sports One. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
You think we're good?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was saying, so it was a dead heat between prime rib, but then also just like lobster, chopped lobster with butter on the snowflake rolls. Unbelievable, honestly. So really enjoyed that. But had so many good things, over the couple of days. Some lasagna. I'm a big eggplant rollatini guy as well. So really enjoyed all of that. Some green beans. It had been a while. So love to have that stuff. Anything for you, Michael, that stood out?
My mom made a what's it called? A flamin' yon, right? Is that the meat?
Yes.
She got it from Stu Leonard's.
Wow, Stu is legendary.
It was $150. She got it for, and I'm not joking, Brian, 37 cents.
How?
Because on the label, they, for whatever reason, put 37 cents.
Uh-huh.
And
it's an error.
Oh, yeah.
And the register, they didn't.
Well, they were like, that's an error. And my mom's like, well, I'm paying 37 cents.
And did they have to bring the manager over?
No, not with my mom.
Wow.
She's the manager of that place.
There we go.
She does not mess around. So she was very happy that was the price. And it was great. We had the sides and all that stuff. But I thought that was the highlight for sure. I mean, 150, like 30s. I have the photo. The meat was like, much meat, and she's holding it. I'll show you it after. It's hilarious.
That is so good. Yeah, I love filet mignon. And how'd you prepare it? In the oven, stovetop? Oven. Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
Yep.
Stu Leonard's really has.
It's great. That
stuff.
place is great. I love how if you spend over 100, you get the free ice cream at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a little gimmick, but
but honestly,
you're gonna spend 100 if you're getting groceries, anywhere.
Well, and especially too, maybe years ago. Okay, maybe it was a little more of a challenge. A couple of things. Now, I mean, it's not. You're blinking and it's 100. So yeah, I used to like getting there, even though it was sugar free. It was still good. I think it was sugar free, but the pistachio soft serve. That was really good.
So good.
Stu's is the best, and it's funny. A lot of times I don't think of it, but also I'm just not. Chefing up in the kitchen, but really they have some really good stuff that you can make for sure. And it's especially the hot bar, the wings there are pretty good. Breakfast sandwiches, coffee, they just really do it right. And actually my cousin who was over on Christmas Eve was saying, I guess, and they had tried to do this years ago, that they're trying to once again, different place to land now, but get a Stu Leonard's in Orange. Which would be, good proximity.
That'd be great.
From here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things. There's just something about, and again.
I know exactly where they're thinking of doing it too. It's It's hard to explain, but we had a client. I don't know if you remember. We did Renee's resale, the clothing.
Yes.
It's in that plaza.
Okay.
It's empty, like
Gotcha.
completely empty, dude.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know if there's anything to do. It must I would think, unless it's just traffic related, but if it has something to do with taxpayers. But I guess like the residents are tight. But it's like there's gonna be a ton of traffic no matter what.
Right.
And
don't you want like good stuff?
Yeah,
like that whole Boston Post Road or whatever. Like that's what it is.
Yeah. Exactly. There's going to be traffic regardless. And I was going to say too, there's just something about like different grocery stores being like exciting. And I feel like I'm just so over Stop and Shop.
Oh my God.
Big Y even used to be exciting, but now I don't know. It's kind of been around. But it's still, but Stop and Shop for me is the most boring and like just, I don't know. There's just no vibe in there.
What's the place in Florida?
Do
you know
Publix?
Publix is great.
Yes.
Like
yes.
you get the wine if you want, walk around, and not that I'm doing that,
The
but
free
like,
cookies.
that's what I'm saying. Like
good sandwiches actually too.
yes,
At the deli.
100%.
And then the Wegmans, I guess, is under construction in Norwalk. I don't know. Have you ever been to Wegmans?
I have. I didn't know they were doing one in Norwalk. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
No, it's crazy. Talk about traffic. It's right in front of the Costco. So that is going to be just an absolute zoo. But again, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff on Connecticut Ave. And Costco is great as well. I love going there. So yeah, there's something about that makes it more exciting. Trader Joe's as well. Just different stuff that you don't get every day. That's for sure. I do see we have a bunch of comments here.
Yeah, it's like
my mother, by the way, I'm skipping ahead here, but she said they're talking Stu's where Christmas tree shop is. Is that where you're talking
Yes.
about? Okay, yeah, so same thing there.
Yes.
But yeah, let's start from the top. What do we got here?
Okay, we're gonna go to the top. We have Michael Buckta. Let's go. Hope all you had a good Christmas. Nice Laker win last night. Shout out to them. Not that they care about you, Michael. Man, I can't forget that man, that legendary man, Dan Hurley, who's in his photo with him. I love that photo. He also adds, guess who my favorite coaches are of each sport and who is my favorite out of them all? 1, NFL. 2, NBA. 3, NCAA. Can you guess? I know the NCAA we got covered. Obviously, Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel. And then we would go.
Wouldn't it be Tomlin, right, for football?
But NBA, I'm confused because like Reddick's a Laker coach, but I've never heard him even mention.
If he mentions him, that's
maybe he'll go Phil Jackson, like just a little nostalgia.
Okay, I see.
Because he doesn't say that they necessarily have to be active. So that would be my guess. And I did see you put it up. I didn't read it, but my mom also had said, good morning, guys. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Brian was such a hit with Patrick, Dominic, and Layla. So much fun. Absolutely. And we were talking about this before the show. Nothing like when the kids come to visit. So we had a blast the last 3 days at the household in Monroe. So it was a great time.
That's awesome. Matthew going, here we go. Let's go. Kev Do saying, let's go. We want the smoke. Happy holidays, guys and girls. Chiefs are that team. NFL sucked on Christmas Day. Let's go, Knicks. Kev Do, Matty G. He says the sound. We got that. Donovan Tommy saying, hey, fam, let's all have a great day.
Tommy.
Josh B saying, yo, what up, fam? Happy Christmas. TCA, Sportsport, DTV. Tommy adding, Stu's is the GOAT grocery store. Samples for days going through the maze.
Yes,
that's true. They do.
They don't do it anymore. But
they don't?
No, they do samples, but not this sample. I don't know if you remember this. They used to do the sausage on a pretzel stick. For some reason, flavor combo, unbelievable. And I think we had some for Thanksgiving. But yeah, their sausage has always been the best. And my mom usually has me pick it up. Close proximity, Stanford, all that.
On the way.
Yeah.
Matthew saying, Josh Boy, Kev Do, Stop and Shop sucks ass. And also Stop and Shop's customer service. I mean, they make it like so you don't want to ask for help.
Yeah.
But it's like you work here.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I can't. Like,
yeah, exactly. No one's making you work here.
Yeah.
On top of it.
It's tough. It's like, I don't know. But Win Dixie, Kev Do says.
Win Dixie. I feel like it
maybe
sounds
that's like
familiar, but it must be a
1980s thing. Publix, no doubt, Michael. Matthew knows. Wegmans is sick. Do you guys have Carlucci's?
Carluzzi's.
Carluzzi's down by the shore?
I know there's one actually because Carm was just talking about this the other day.
I don't think so.
And no, but there's one like Route 7 going to Danbury from Norwalk,
Okay.
and it's like I think it's an Italian type of grocery store, which is obviously
Okay.
dope. You know, they have all the good stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I haven't been there yet, but I'll have to check it out.
Matthew adding, I believe, to Wegmans, because I don't think Publix is up here. The one in Rochester is dope. The grocery store vibe is a real thing. Stu's is great too. Haha, they don't care. Mr. Daniel. Buckda loves Reddick. Wow, really? Because that's I feel like
You've
he's
never heard his name once?
Never. So that's
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
like him being a
Fuck it.
Penguins fan.
Yeah.
Nice headshot, Mrs. Barnaby. Josh, are you Harry Potter? Happy Christmas, Harry. Matthew, LOL. Anthony, I like Stop and Shop. Of course he does.
Yeah.
Like, of course he likes Stop and Shop.
Yeah.
He's so
Yeah. Boring.
Yeah,
what
he
it
is.
Stop and Shop is boring. That's for
like
sure.
Tony. Whoa.
Whoa.
I don't know what I just did here. I get it in, I get in my stuff, and I get the fuck out. Okay, yeah. You know, it's funny he says that because he forgets things too.
Oh yeah, and then he's going back, and
So-
it's just like, yeah, like I said, yeah, sure. If you want to just I don't know, just if you want to get bland stuff and like nothing you're excited, yeah, in and out, sure. But if you want some type of excitement, some type of flavor, some type of zest, Tony,
Yes.
you're not going to Stop and Shop.
No, I get in. Winn-Dixie's in Florida too. Get on with my life, Tony says. Winn-Dixie's in Florida. Kev Do says. Anthony, don't need a vibe. Yeah, that's a good one, Matt. Come on, Tony, Matt says. You're better than Stop and Shop. Rarely happens on the forgetfulness. The rest of my life is exciting enough. First of all, last time he was there, he forgot stuff. So
Yeah, there we go.
Like literally last time.
Yeah,
So
fabrication.
you can stay over there
Yep.
and shush it up.
Yeah, I think the the food coma that he's in over on Staten Island is getting to
Oh
his
my
head.
God, he definitely is.
But yeah, no, good to have everybody with us. I just wanted to mention too. It's been a long time. We're gonna have to redo the bite organically. But we're gonna get, before we close up, a Prism pack reveal.
Can't
Michael.
wait.
So how long would you say? Are we almost like 2 years?
Definitely 2 years.
Which is actually kind of nuts when you really think about it. And I think it's 6 packs of 6. So, nice that we'll have a couple of shows with that. And also on this box, they said look for ultra rare inserts, including
I was looking
stained
into
glass
it.
and the
I was
micro
looking
mosaic.
into it.
What do we got for the research?
I was looking in, and people are happy with the box. You can find some good cards in there. So hopefully we're one of those people.
Yeah. And we've had some good pulls over the year.
We have some
as
great
well.
cards.
Yeah,
There-
Edwards, a couple of them.
We have a
right?
couple Edwards, Lonzo Ball. These are
Ball?
rookies. Ball, even though sadly he's,
But it takes that one
I know.
opportunity.
He needs to go to the Knicks. I wish he
Yeah.
was on the Knicks. I'd be so riled for the Knicks right
I mean,
now.
it can happen. It
Like,
can happen
I'd be
at
a
some
huge
point.
Knicks fan again right now, watching every game.
Yeah, and the thing is, they've been on a little run, so you add him on the second unit. And I do think, though, just one thing with him, I think maybe Tibbs could get them out of this, but it's just like,
That's what I'm
because I
saying.
noticed and I get it, because he's just like so excited for his opportunity. And the rare times that I've got to see him play, I just feel like maybe the team gets tight, because I'm sure there's like plays or whatever. He just
goes and shoots, yeah.
Going the length of the floor.
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking up the ball. I don't care if I'm the center. So yeah, that's kind of funny. And then a couple more.
Tony's
here
saying
from
we
Tony.
couldn't handle the. First of all, we've handled it time and time again.
Yes,
put
we'll
it to
handle it
shame.
time and time again.
We'll put it to shame again. Can't wait for the Prism, the organic bite. The Prism is OG. Fire it back up. Hey, Matthew, Anthony. Ha 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 ha.
Wow. So everybody
Riled.
definitely riled up this morning.
Yeah, riled.
But yeah, a lot to get to. And most of this show will be football related. So let's go to the world of the National Football League.
He wants Jefferson, climbs the ladder. Oh my goodness! Justin Jefferson, the catch of his life.
Burrow fires, intercepted, picked off at a pick six. Mako Fitzpatrick, an absolute ball hawk.
Niners twist up front and get to Tagovailoa. Bosa again. Mahomes escaping on the move, stops, spins, flips it forward for the touchdown.
Stop it.
Aaron Jones. Oh, what a tackle! Quincy Williams with a pile driver.
All right. So we had a couple of days off. So we're going to circle back. Not that we need to spend too much time on this shutout, which was actually the first and only shutout up to this point this year. But Monday Night Football in Green Bay, we saw the Pack 34-0 over the Saints. And me and Josh B were actually texting about this before. But in a season on my few fantasy teams, which has been the worst I've ever had, only made, the
Did you
playoffs.
make the finals in one?
It was semifinals against Josh B. I had a 90% chance, and he won.
Shut the fuck up.
Because he had the Packers defense, so he gets the 20 points for
jinxed
the
you.
shutout. Basically, yeah. And
He
I
had
told him he
mushed
was
you.
doing that. He knew it, this and that, which is fine.
I can't believe that
was a
rat
killer.
bastard.
But, I mean, the thing is, and I was telling him this before the show as well, it's just, the Saints are on to their, second, third string quarterback, whatever you want to call it, somebody that's just not prepared to play. And a lot of times, teams with that type of quarterback, unless you're finding a diamond in the rough, like a Brock Purdy, you're just not going to put points on the board. And that's not, that's what happened here. As he only threw for 150, Spencer Rattler, 153, no touchdowns, one pick, sacked 3 times, and they couldn't get anything going on the ground, only 67 yards rushing. So that Green Bay defense proving stout. And offensively, it was kind of interesting. Josh Jacobs has been the bell cow all season. And he actually had Josh Jacobs, so he only played really like the first half. And then I guess LaFleur said, you score a touchdown, I'm just going to bench it for the second half because this one is in hand. And, they were up 21-0 at the half. So he only had, 13 carries, 69 yards, and a score, which has been a great rebound season for Jacobs. Really struggled after 2 years ago, leading the NFL in rushing with the Raiders last year. Poor offensive line play has really found a renaissance in Green Bay this year. So they turned to Wilson in the second half. Emmanuel Wilson, who actually did a nice job, 11 for 52 and a touchdown. And they also had their third string running back, Chris Brooks, 23 yards and a touchdown as well. So kind of interesting. They had 3 different backs get rushing touchdowns. And they also had, which it's crazy. I don't know if I've ever seen this many players carry the ball. You had Malik Willis get in for a couple plays. But you literally had 3, 6, 9 players with a carry. So Green Bay has been known to, get, all these different players involved. And speaking of that, on the passing side of things, you also had 7 players catch passes from Jordan Love. And then Willis did get in at the end of the game. But Love, 16 of 28, 182, and a touchdown as the Packers improved to 11-4, but remain in third place in the NFC North. And me and Tony, were talking about this last week. Something that we feel we're really not going to see again. Just a division this dominant. And the crazy part is, earlier this year and again, it feels like we keep coming back to this number and Tony always cracks up, but a 9-game losing streak for the Bears, who were once 4-2, now 4-11, going to play later tonight. But you got the Lions and the Vikings.
I don't know about you.
Packers 11-4.
Sorry to cut you off, but isn't it like throwing you off that Christmas was Wednesday?
Yeah, no, I would say in terms of days, of the week, it's the worst setup.
Yeah.
I would say the best is Christmas being really on a Thursday because then everybody gets the day off Friday and then you have the full weekend and then it's the same thing for New Year's.
100%.
That's a setup, but of course that's going to be next year that will actually
It threw me
start.
off. It definitely threw me off.
But yeah, and obviously it's been 7 years since we've had this setup, so it's been a little while. But yeah, it definitely is the best when it's later in the week.
Matthew, emphasizing, Josh, you Eddie Mush rat bastard. I can't believe he mushed you.
Yeah. But listen, it was, like I said, it was kind of set up to fail from the beginning. You can't expect to win games or be competitive in games, especially with a third string quarterback on a team.
True.
That fired their head coach. So they have the special teams coach as the head coach. So it's just a mess there. And it's going to be interesting to see, what New Orleans does, moving forward. And I almost kind of came because I feel like with their draft position, probably be around 10, not going to be in prime position to take a young quarterback. because they were talking about it again, the obsession of both the fan and ESPN New York of talking about the Jets situation and Rodgers and the comments and talking about all that stuff. But it's like how he wants to play, and it seems likely, and I know we keep going back and forth in this, but the sentiment I get to, listen to the radio is that there's no way, and it's both him and the Jets not wanting a return for next season, which I think is a good idea. But, I just don't think there's a lot of teams that could use a quarterback, but in terms of especially one like him, because it would be a team that wants to compete, but doesn't have a younger quarterback ready. So I'm thinking maybe the Saints, just because you anticipate Kamara, who just got the extension this year, will be back. Chris Olave will be back, and Foster Moreau has actually looked pretty good in coming weeks. And then you got Shaheed coming back from the knee injury. So there are some pieces there. So maybe if they get the right coach, that's a scenario where he could play. But there's not too many teams where you see him going. I mean, maybe Seattle.
So they're saying he's not coming back.
That's what they're saying, that it's the Jets. There's just no way that they're going to want him back, but also that he doesn't want back. And also, I guess, supposedly he has an MCL injury. So he's playing through it because he wants to audition for teams next year. But I have to say, if I had to pick, especially with given the expected Jets release, I just think that no one's going to end up wanting to bring him in, because if you think about, Seattle might be a scenario.
Who would have to trade him, though?
Well, they're going to just release him.
Oh, wow. What a freaking joke.
I know. So obviously, would end a colossal failure that it was there. But even if, for instance, he were to go to Seattle, it's like, you got a second-year head coach there. Does he really want to be overpowered? And that organization seems to always do things right. So, I don't know if that necessarily makes sense. So it would really be just like New Orleans, maybe, when you look at NFC teams. And then, on the AFC side, I doubt he wants to go to Cleveland. I doubt he wants to go to Tennessee. I doubt he wants to go to Jacksonville. The Raiders are going to draft a quarterback. He's not going to New England. So there's just not a ton of teams that you could even possibly see it. So that's why, when it really comes down to it, given the release, I think, it might be, time for his career ultimately to come to an end. So we'll have to watch out for that. And then also, kind of just wrapping up that Monday night discussion, the Packers have a big game with Minnesota coming up on Sunday. They moved that game to the 4:25 window. But they are pretty much looks like they're going to be the 6th seed. Technically, Washington could catch them, but I'm sure even if they don't win on Sunday, that they'd win their final game, and the likelihood of Washington winning the 2 games, you would think it would most likely be a split. That last game of the season against the Bears, and Ernie, we know the Pack owned the Bears despite winning that last matchup, I believe, by 1 point on a blocked field goal. So, me and Tony were talking about this, a 3-6 matchup with the Rams, if everything holds, would definitely be an entertaining playoff game. And that one, would be in Los Angeles due to them most likely winning that division. So, we'll have to see. And, as far as the Saints now 5-10, and their final 2 are going to be against Kev's Raiders before they finish up at the Bucks, and I'm sure they would love to have a better draft position. But that game against the Raiders, I think that's anybody's game, and then the Bucks probably will need that game, so I wouldn't expect them to be competitive there. But we'll see. So that was Monday Night Football, and on to yesterday, the doubleheader on Netflix. And we saw 2 games that really, weren't that competitive. You want to say first half in Pittsburgh between the Chiefs and the Steelers. Sure, Kansas City, went into the halftime locker room up 13-7, but then completely dominated the second half, outscoring Pittsburgh 16-3. In terms of the scoring there, first quarter, after an 8-play, 42-yard drive, Xavier Worthy, who really is a guy that I, have circled just to make an impact. Obviously we only have 1 more game in this regular season, but come playoff time, his speed is unbelievable. I believe it was a 4.1 that he ran at the combine. So just finding ways to get him the ball, I think, is going to be huge for this Chiefs offense, because you have him as an option, but then you throw in Hopkins, of course, Travis Kelce. who became the Chiefs' all-time touchdown leader yesterday. So over Tony Gonzalez. So he sent him a congratulatory tweet. But there's just a lot of options. And after that play, I guess they called or they gave him a flag for the celebration, so they moved back the extra point. Harrison Butker, who just came back last week from injury, missed it because it was 48 yards out. Pittsburgh, a little cold, the wind. But then we saw Justin Watson later in the first quarter catch an 11-yard touchdown back from Mahomes, and he also caught another deep ball. So Mahomes was really spreading the ball out yesterday. So made the extra point that time, normal 33-yard variety. So 13-0. Russ threw a terrible red zone interception that prevented Pittsburgh from scoring any points there in the first half. But second quarter, they get off to a good start. Russell Wilson, a 1-yard rushing touchdown to cap off an 11-play, 72-yard drive. A great catch by George Pickens as well. So you felt like Pittsburgh was into this one. But then third quarter, Kansas City, goes on a long drive, 8 plays, 54 yards, but only takes 2:40 off the clock to extend it to 16-7. Pittsburgh unable to finish their drive, 12 plays, 52 yards, so 16-10 Kansas City. Fourth quarter, all Chiefs. One long drive here, 11 plays, 77 yards, capped off by Kareem Hunt from 2 yards out. Made it 22-10. They don't get the 2. It didn't matter because Travis Kelce, the 12-yard touchdown pass, which again, gave him the all-time lead in Chiefs history, I believe 77 touchdowns. Made it 29-10 and no more scoring the rest of the game. And with this win, Kansas City clinches the number 1 seed in the AFC. So home field through the AFC Championship game if they are to reach that point once again, something that they literally do every single year, which is kind of nuts. And if you look at this game, I mean, this was one of Mahomes' best games of the season, 29-38, 320, 3 touchdowns. And, with them clinching and have nothing to play for next week against Denver, you would think, he probably isn't going to play next week with a bunch of other Chiefs stars like Chris Jones, who missed this game with a calf injury. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Running in this game, they got the yards when they needed to, but it wasn't great. 20 for 69, 3.5 yards a carry. Hunt with that rushing touchdown, and Pacheco, they still haven't really unleashed since he came back from that injury. And on the receiving side of things, Kelce, one of his better games of the year, 8 for 84 and a touchdown. And then you had Xavier Worthy, who had a couple carries, and then 8 for 79 and a touchdown himself. And then Justin Watson, 2 for 60 and that touchdown, most of the yardage coming on that 49-yard reception he had in the first quarter. And Hollywood Brown, second game back from IR, 4 for 46. So, there's weapons, all over the place here. And, DeAndre Hopkins only had 2 for 7. You got Smith-Schuster. So in a season where Mahomes will probably throw, like I said, barring that he doesn't play next week, for the least amount of yards in his career, but yet 15-1 is 15-1, and that's something only a few teams have accomplished. So they look prime, for yet another postseason run. On the other side of things, it's now 3 straight losses for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, as you could imagine, Mike Tomlin not happy after the game, saying that, you're not going to win games in the NFL playing JV football. And Russell Wilson, who had done such a great job, those first few starts for the Steelers, really has struggled the last few games. And in this game, 23 of 37, 205, only 5.5 yards per completion, had that bad interception and was sacked 5 times. They were able to run the ball, which is always a calling card of theirs. Najee Harris, 13 for 74. Jalen Warren, 11 for 71. And even Russ, 55 yards in that rushing touchdown. So it's interesting with the Steelers, and due to the results of the next game, they actually fall, to the 5th seed, after losing these 3 games, and will play Cincinnati in the season finale next week. But maybe, that will end up being a blessing in disguise. And, Chokery, who's a big Steelers fan, we were talking about this yesterday, probably works out better just because they are going to be matched up with the Texans, who are dealing with a ton of injuries here. And then instead of having to face the Chargers, they get the Texans. So it feels like that's a better matchup. But speaking of the Ravens and the Texans, the second game of this Christmas doubleheader, a complete blowout as the Ravens win 31-2, and those 2 points, of course, scored by the Houston defense. So the offense completely shut out. And CJ Stroud after the game, was saying it was probably the worst start of his career. 17-35, 185 in the interception. They only ran for 58 yards on the ground as well. And it seemed like a team really just reeling from all these injuries they've had, and that gruesome Tank Dell injury last week, someone who Stroud is very close with. So, they're locked into that 4 seed. And if everything, holds the way it is right now, like I said, they're going to host the Steelers, which I think, will be a tough matchup despite their struggles. But on the other side of the things, the Ravens, after that real poor start, earlier this year, I think it was, they started 0-2 and I think ended up, 1-2 or 1-3, are now 11-5 after this victory. Lamar Jackson in this game becoming the NFL's all-time leading rusher, passing Michael Vick, which is a cool story. And we were talking about this before the show. Just kind of what was thought of him coming into the league. There were a lot of doubts about his ability to play quarterback, teams asking him to switch to wide receiver. And the fact that he breaks this record, I want to say it was like 20-something games sooner than what it took Michael Vick, really just puts things, in perspective. So congratulations to him. And he had a great game, continuing a dream season. 10 for 15, 168, 2 passing touchdowns. Also had 4 for 87, including a 48-yard rushing touchdown. Derrick Henry, talk about a dream season, 27 for 147 and a score. So he's just been an absolute animal, and it really feels like, and I know, we've thought this before, and Lamar's won the MVP, multiple times in his career. This really does feel, like the best version of the Ravens we've seen. Obviously, the defense playing better down the stretch than it was earlier in the year. But Derrick Henry, 305 carries, 1783 in terms of yards, and 14 rushing touchdowns, averaging 5.8 yards per carry. What a signing that's been for this Ravens team, really just changing the complete complexity and just making teams honor that running game rather than solely, focus on Lamar Jackson. And, some of the backs they had the last couple of years were good, but they just didn't poise, the threat that Henry does. And Lamar has also gotten better with the passing, and obviously this game was kind of out of hand, so he didn't pass as much. But overall, on the season, he's just shy of 4,000 passing yards and has 39 passing touchdowns, 4 picks, and will definitely get a chance to get into 40 touchdowns and over 4,000 yards with the Ravens needing a win next week or a Steelers loss to clinch that AFC North title. So it's kind of interesting, and I kind of always, just because of what we've seen before, and you can't, sometimes it's a lazy kind of take, but when you see guys like Lamar, as they head into the playoffs, you really have that feeling of a regular season quarterback, and you're not expecting him to finally get over the hump. But with Derrick Henry, though, it does kind of feel like there is a chance, that this could finally be the year, and it'll be a rematch of actually the first game of the season if they were to play Kansas City, in the AFC Championship game or, in the divisional round before that. A game where, if Isaiah Likely doesn't step out by a matter of inches, they go for 2, maybe win that game. So they showed at that point that they could compete with the Chiefs. So that would be fascinating if we get that rematch again. But what do you think, Michael? Are you expecting, do you feel like there's a good chance that this could finally be the year Lamar gets over the hump? Or you just, if you had to say right now, would you still go with Kansas City?
Yeah, I'd go with Kansas City.
Just because how many times are we going to see it?
I think we always doubt them, and, they come through.
Burrow and Brady, the only quarterbacks to beat him in the postseason.
Yeah, it's tough.
And, obviously it seems like, we won't be seeing the Bengals in the playoffs this year. That's for sure. Definitely will need a lot of help here, being third in tiebreakers there for that 7th seed in the AFC. But of course, everybody would love to see him in the playoffs. So we'll have to see how the games, fall this week. Week 17 will continue tonight. A matchup between the Seahawks and the Bears. And I mentioned Chicago reeling right now, 9-game losing streak, fired head coach, fired offensive coordinator, people, questioning Caleb Williams, the number 1 pick in last year's NFL draft. So, just a lot of question marks for this team, what they're going to do moving forward. Day after Christmas, and they were talking about this on, NFL radio this morning, you question, the motivation for the Chicago Bears team, what they're going to look like, because obviously things are in shambles. And in terms of the Seahawks here, this is a huge game for them because right now the Rams are up 1 game in the regular season standings in the NFC West. So, if they lose and then the Rams were to win this week, they will be eliminated from both the wild card and the NFC West race. So this is a must win for them. And have kind of had a roller coaster season. The hot start, a few losses mixed in a row. Things seemingly headed in the right direction before losing the last 2 weeks to the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. So, all hands on deck for this one, and they're going to be without running back Kenneth Walker. So lean on second-year back Zach Charbonnet, who's done well in the few starts that he's had this season. In Seattle comes into this game as a -4 favorite, total set at 42.5. And it's funny, usually you think about Seattle, the 12th man, the home field advantage that they have over there. But this year they've actually been a better team on the road, 5-1. And then, at home, only 3-6, which is very surprising and very uncharacteristic. And I think the biggest thing is this offense has been moving the ball, but Geno, which we're familiar with from his Jet days, has been moving the ball, but then he gets into the red zone, makes a critical mistake. But it seems like against Chicago here, this is a game that they should win. But let's find out, Michael, and do a Thursday night football frenzy. Just wanted the delay for the dramatic effects. We know it's in there somewhere unless Tony cleared it out. Was it a Tony clear out? And there we go.
It's under ESPN Prime Time. It's NFL, Tony.
Yeah, come on, Tony. So Prime Video, 8:15. Al
He did that on
Michaels.
purpose to make me look bad.
Kirk Herbstreit here. And the Seattle Seahawks, like I mentioned, 4-point favorites. Total set at 42.5. -210 on the money line in Chicago, coming in at +175, +4. But like I said, a team in shambles, and we've seen some games be close with them, some games be competitive. The colossal failure that was Thanksgiving last month, not getting that field goal attempt off. But it seems like they've just packed it in for the season. It seems like the motivation is just not there for this Bears team. So, hard to really think that they're going to put together a good performance. And to be honest, I just don't see this being that close. I think Seattle, I could see them scoring maybe on their first couple drives. Geno spreading the ball out and hitting Charbonnet out of the backfield. He's done a good job as a receiver, and we know about Metcalf. We know about Smith and Jigba, who's over 1,000 yards on the season now. So I expect them to go into halftime with a 14-0 lead. And kind of, run down the clock second half and end up winning. I'm going to say 20-6. So let's go Seahawks easily covering that -4. And the Bears, only scoring 6 points, couple field goals, couple Caleb picks, and more questions as we head into the offseason. And give me a DK Metcalf anytime touchdown. I know Josh B loves those. You can put it in part of the parlay. But just like that, that is your Thursday night football frenzy. And then Tony looked like he was copping back a little bit here.
He's chirping. He says, wouldn't do that to you, Michael. That's just between you and I. Actually, no, it's not, because that's what you would do.
Yeah.
Or you're just not good at your job. It should be titled NFL Song.
Like, let's make it easy for
ESPN Prime. What is that?
everybody, Tony. That's for sure. So, not expecting it to be too entertaining, in Chicago tonight, but who knows? Maybe at least for the first half of this game, it'll be somewhat competitive. And it was interesting too. Yesterday, it came out, I guess, obviously the Bears this offseason, like many other teams, I'm sure we'll see, around the NFL, are going to be looking for a new head football coach. And I guess Pete Carroll, the former Seahawks coach, has said he's interested in that job.
Wow.
And honestly,
Not the Jets?
with all the I don't know if he wants to go back there. But not to say that we wouldn't love that. But I think that would be actually a great landing spot, especially you would feel he could kind of right the wrongs with Caleb Williams and kind of the perception that he has. Carroll, he's a player's coach, but also, a motivator. And I think that's what the Bears need, because things just are not, looking good right now, but they do have pieces. And even if it is only a couple year thing, Carroll's 72 years old. I would love to see it. So I'm sure even if he doesn't end up getting that job, taking that job, other teams like the Jets maybe will be interested, in talking to him. So we'll have to see, what the scenario is there. So other football news, not in the professional ranks, and I know this is always, Tony's favorite topic. We did have a Christmas Eve bowl game between San Jose State and South Florida. And I was just thinking, because this game, took place in Hawaii, the travel, that maybe, it would be tough for South Florida, but they actually win in 5 overtimes, 41-39. So a good job there. By South Florida, knocking off San Jose State. Anytime, you get a game that goes into 5 overtimes, there's always, some type of drama. And this was all that, we had to work with in the sports world on Christmas Eve. And I was thinking too, that should be an opportunity for, with obviously we know what goes on, on Christmas Day with the NBA, the NFL, for hockey. I feel like you got to have a game on that day, even if it's just one game, a standalone game. I'd love to see it because they're off, I believe, today and then come back tomorrow. But if there's not many games on, why not take that, as an opportunity to play? And I know they always have some type of Christmas break, but I think anytime you can get these standalone games, I think it makes sense, and especially like an outdoor game, I think would have made a lot of sense. And I was surprised to see, there's only going to be 2 outdoor games this year. I believe one in Chicago, and then one in Columbus. But I just feel like with hockey, I mean, there's so much fun to watch, and I know they don't, want them to get, watered down. But I think why not have a couple more games? And I think it really, just adds to the intrigue. Like the people that wouldn't normally watch, there's a game that's being played outside. I want to watch. Like I feel like no matter who's playing, wouldn't it be interesting for you, Michael?
Yes, 100%.
And obviously, we all enjoyed watching that Ranger Islander game at MetLife last year. So I wish they would do more things like that and take advantage, with the schedule. And maybe that's why some of the people, have the issues with Bettman that they do. But it just seems like that would be an opportunity for them to gain a lot of viewers when there's not a lot of sports options out there. So, again, the Bulls picking up the win here, 41-39. So that was the only game that we saw on Christmas Eve. No bowl games on Christmas Day. But we do actually have 3 bowl games today. So I'm sure Tony will be tuning in for all of these. Starting at 2 o'clock, a battle between Toledo and Pittsburgh.
That's the one he's going to watch.
Yes, that one definitely has the most juice. The 2 7-5 teams. And tickets as low as $4. They're having this one at Ford Field. And it's kind of interesting too, because a lot of people complain about, these bowl games and the lesser teams playing. But I think honestly, it is a good thing. Number one, when you have schools like this, teams that weren't involved in the national championship picture, it gives their players an opportunity to have statement games, improve their draft stock, or potentially, improve their stock, with all this NIL for the transfer portal. So it's opportunity for guys to play. And even if guys sit out, it gives younger guys an opportunity to play, and it helps those head coaches with, looking ahead, for the following season. So looking at this game, you got Pittsburgh here, 6.5-point favorites, total set at 48.5. In a matchup of two teams, Pittsburgh obviously in the ACC, and Toledo, part of the MAC. And you look at the results here. Pittsburgh has actually lost 5 games in a row. Toledo has lost 2 games in a row. So it's kind of interesting, who's going to kind of break that losing streak here. And I like, in a situation like this, I like the underdog, because I just feel like Pittsburgh, maybe the guys are checked out, you lose that many games in a row. You just get discouraged, and you feel like, it feels like you're never going to win again. And that's obviously, as low as it gets. So just for that reason alone, and Toledo, this is an opportunity to make their season. Like I said, they haven't been on the national radar, at all this year. So I think they win this one. I wouldn't be surprised if they win it handily, which is interesting. You don't expect that, group of 5, power 5. But their quarterback Gleason, 22 touchdowns, 7 picks this season. I could see him airing it out. And like I said, Pittsburgh, maybe not motivated for this one day after Christmas. So I'm going to say Toledo will win this game. Obviously, plus 6.5 is the call. And in terms of the total at 48.5, I'm going to say it goes under. But I'm going to say we're going to go 31-14. So Toledo in the under for the first game of the day. 2 more bowl games here. The second one, a little bit of a local feel. Rutgers, you got head coach Greg Schiano, obviously coached in the NFL in between his stints at Rutgers. They had that big win last year against Miami in their bowl game. This time around, they get Kansas State, and they are the underdogs here. Kansas State -7, 8-4 in the Big 12 this year. 51.5 is the total. And the star for them this year out of the backfield, you had DJ Giddens, the junior from Junction City, Kansas. 205 carries, 1343, 7 touchdowns, 6.6 yards per carry. He's had some big games this year. I'm sure they're going to feed him. And you would think too, with those type of numbers, probably considering going to the NFL draft. So there's some added motivation there. And kind of an interesting feel. This one is at Chase Field, home of the Diamondbacks. So it's going to be 5:30 on ESPN. In Rutgers, a 7-5 season, and obviously they're a program for years and years that struggled just to even make bowl games. So I'm sure they appreciate being here. And they actually have a star running back of their own here in Kyle Monanagi, 1279, 13 touchdowns, and 5 yards per carry himself. So, I expect them to be highly motivated, and as Greg Schiano really looks to take this program to the next level. And obviously, their backs are against it, being in the Big Ten, the expansion. I just think that they're up against it. I mean, obviously, the one thing that they have going for them is people that are either from New York area or tri-state area that want to stay close to home. And that would be the advantage, competing against these other teams that play far away, like Oregon, all the way on the other side of the country. Sometimes just where teams play comes into to play a lot in terms of where they want to pick for their schools. So just because of the motivator that he is, I have a feeling Rutgers is going to be able to pull up the upset. I think this is going to be a really close game, a lot of running between the two-star running backs here, and I wouldn't be surprised if it came down to a last-second field goal. So if I had to give an exact prediction here, I'm going to say Rutgers on the +7, and I'm going to say they win this one 31-28. Probably a 34-yard walk-off field goal. Nothing crazy, but that'll be over the total as well. So we do like the 2 dogs to start out these Thursday bowl games. Last game of the day. And this has to be the most juice for Tony. 9 o'clock. He'll probably have had 6 rounds of dessert by then. The apple ring, the cheesecake,
100%.
couple dinners as well, all the leftovers. But you get Arkansas State and Bowling Green playing at Hancock Whitney Stadium, Mobile, Alabama, also home of the Super Bowl. Bowling Green, both teams 7-5, but getting a lot of love here. -9. So again, the 9's coming into play for Tony. 53.5 is the number on that one. And when I look at this, again, I think I'm gonna go all 3 underdogs today. I just think there's just something to that. 9 is way too much, and while it might be tough for the outright win, I just have a feeling they're going to be able to get it done. And if you look at stars in this game for Bowling Green, I think it'll be key for Arkansas State to defend Harold Fannin Jr., 6'4" receiver from Canton, Ohio, obviously home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. 100 receptions, 1342, 9 touchdowns. So I'm sure they'll have some coverages, designed for him. And on the Arkansas State side, I think it comes down to the play of their quarterback, Jalen Rayner. 14 touchdowns, 9 picks, 25-62 in terms of yardage. And he also occasionally, will do some running against Georgia State a couple weeks ago. 114 yards on the ground. So a running and passing threat. So I'm going to say this one again close. I'm going to say, though, under the total, maybe we see, a little more running, clock winding, all of that. But I'm going to say Arkansas State, the outright win here in Mobile. Let's go 21-10. So we're going to go Arkansas State on the +9 and the under 53.5. So we know Josh B loves to do his parlays, so that might be a good one to consider. And also, we do see Josh B saying the gum chewer in reference to Pete Carroll, and Tony saying ridiculous in Holy Toledo. So obviously he is excited for that one.
He is.
But that's what we got, for bowl games. And, before we move along here, obviously, I'm sure tomorrow we'll mention there's actually 4 bowl games. So we got a little bowl mania as well as the football games, over the weekend in the NFL. Starting on Saturday, we got 3 games. So we'll do a full frenzy there. And actually, some better bowl matchups tomorrow. You got Oklahoma Navy, Georgia Tech Vanderbilt, Texas Tech and Arkansas, Syracuse, that big win at the end of the season, over Miami, the upset. Kyle McCord has done a great job since transferring, 29 touchdowns, 12 picks. And then USC against Texas A&M, and A&M, played pretty well this year, ended up going 8-4 in the SEC. So, we'll definitely mention those tomorrow. But if we could, Michael, take a rare trip to the world of the National Basketball Association.
The Bulls go! LeBron James at the buzzer!
All right, all right. So, we had some Christmas Day games, as we always do, yesterday, and we started out at 12 o'clock, and at MSG, which I believe they were saying something like 33 games or something that they've hosted, I think the most in NBA history. And there was a stretch when they were really bad where they weren't doing that, but recent years, they have brought it back. And this game, back and forth, but the Knicks end up getting their 20th win of the year, 117-114, and both teams led by 40-point scores. Wembanyama, 42 points, 18 rebounds for the Spurs, who dropped to 15-15 with the loss, and obviously going with the interim coach right now, with Greg Popovich recovering from a health issue.
Is he coming back? What's up with that?
I don't think there's been clarity, but me and Chokri, we're talking about it before yesterday. It's just like when you have a scare like that, and we know he loves playing, but it's like just enjoy like the rest of your life. Like
I know his wife died, so I mean, sad. But
I know, but it's just like I feel like how could the stress be good for him, especially. You know what I mean? Oh, but it's like they've lost so many games over the past couple of years. I think it's just maybe he's just tempted because Wemby.
He wants Wemby,
and he feels like they could probably, or they at least have a decent shot to sneak into the playoffs. And I think that's probably why he'll push to come back, knowing Pop. That's what he'll do. But I know I've seen it. Whether it's in the TCA chat or just on Twitter, but Knicks fans are excited, winning 20 of their first 30 games here. Mikal Bridges really put on the show with those 41 points yesterday, 6 of 9 from 3-point range, and Karl Anthony Towns has been solid all season long since coming over from the Timberwolves. 21 points, 9 rebounds yesterday, so another good game from him. And Jalen Brunson, couple rebounds and 1 assist shy of a triple-double, 20 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. And Josh Hart, as he always does, kind of doing everything yesterday, 12 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. So the Knicks find themselves in pretty good standing here as we are 30 games into the NBA season for them. Right now, they are the 3 seed, 2 games behind the Knicks. Not behind the Knicks, but behind the Celtics. And then, some of the other games yesterday. Following that, we saw the Timberwolves play the Mavericks, and the Mavericks losing Luka again and killing my fantasy team again. I've never had so many injuries for fantasy, but it looks like a calf strain, which they're saying, could be up to a month. What do you think it is? Because I feel like we see him get banged up. Do you think it's his play style, or do you
conditioning?
Think you think it's still lacking? Like he's still like how lacking though? Like is it like pretty bad?
Lacking enough to get injured.
Yeah, because I feel like even if it's not like a major thing, it seems like there is some type of injury with him every year.
I mean, he comes into the season out of shape. What do you expect?
Yeah, I mean, what do you think he's like getting hammered with Tony or?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Tony takes him out. Gives him the Italian food too, like before and after. It's not good for him. It's not good.
No, exactly. So maybe, who knows? I mean, I know, like I said, we've already seen this before, but it's like hopefully this kind of just turns some type of light switch on for him, because I think this Mavericks team is talented. I mean, Kyrie's playing well. He had 39 yesterday.
They almost had the comeback. He missed a shot. That was it.
Yeah.
They were down big too.
Yeah, no, they outscored Minnesota 31-15
They
in
suck,
the fourth
Minnesota.
quarter. And it's funny, I guess Randall, there's some discontent there. They're looking to trade him. Supposedly he doesn't like Gobert. And then it's odd too. I don't know if it's just kind of the shock of the trade, but DiVincenzo hasn't been playing anywhere close to as well as he played with the Knicks, and he's even been talking about like rooting for the team from afar. So who knows? Maybe he can find himself back with the Knicks.
He wishes,
because I'm sure he'd love to be there. And I think if they didn't have to give up much, they would love to have him. But it'll be interesting to see what Minnesota does, because we know Edwards is great, but it just seems like they need to get a better mix around him. He had 26 points yesterday, 15 and 14, and if they don't end up accomplishing everything like we see with all these stars in the NBA, requesting trades, this and that, he'll probably follow suit there. A surprise upset in Boston yesterday. The Sixers 118-114 over the Celtics. Tyrese Maxey, big game, 33 points, 12 assists. Also
Is it his
had 3
team now
steals.
officially?
Well, I mean, when you have George and Embiid, playing 20% of the games, it kind of feels like it, no?
Mm-hmm.
And that George contract, this was the first year, I think, a 4-year deal. He's 34, obviously in decline. Seems like a killer. And just with the Sixers in general, getting Embiid and having the other pieces around him for a little bit, seems like they've really blown that situation where it just feels like it's not going to happen, right?
I mean, Embiid blew it.
I mean, Embiid almost got injured with the security guard like before the game. I mean, he did well yesterday, but like I said, he's all these sitting out the back-to-backs. I mean, he had 27 and 9 yesterday. George struggled 4-15 from the floor, only 12 points. But it'll be interesting to see. They're 11 and 17. I think all the resting is killing them. So it's just like, what do they do moving forward? And for the Celtics, despite the loss, still 22 and 8. Second place in the Eastern Conference. So I think they'll be fine. And I hope Michael Buck is listening, and I hope he saw Jason Tatum, Michael Tatum, 32 points, 15 rebounds yesterday. So, having a good year, and Brown chipped in 23 for the Celtics as well. And then we had the fourth game of the day, the Lakers holding out the Warriors at the Chase Center here, 115-113. Reeves, the game winner for the Lakers, as they improved to 17 and 13. Warriors dropped to 15 and 14. And Curry, had one of his vintage games, 36 points, draining 3-pointers, from all over the court. But not enough. And it's interesting kind of, what they're going to do. Obviously, he would love to get another ring. And he's even talked about recently, I guess they did some sit down, with him, LeBron and KD. And he was just alluding to, he knows like the end is near and he'd love to, add another championship. But I just think he just doesn't have enough like around him right now.
No.
So unless they're able to, pull off some type of trade, and I think too, like I know the fundamentals and stuff, but like I just feel like they would be better off without Draymond. Don't you think so?
Yeah, and Kuminga they could get rid of too. I would just get some stud in there. Maybe get Anthony Edwards. That'd be dope.
Oh my god, that I think just the two of them. I don't care who else is on the court. I think that would work out well.
You see, Bukta, the Fairweather fan over here.
What did he say?
Dan Campbell, NFL. JJ Redick,
Dan Campbell,
NBA. Like, what is going on with this kid?
Yeah, I don't. Dan Campbell, like, are you switching to the Lions? Because I feel like maybe
he likes to front run.
He's a little discouraged by the Steelers recently. The 3-game losing streak I think is getting to him.
Yeah, no, I don't understand his fandom.
Yeah, no, neither do I. AD in this game leaving with injury. So again, my fantasy team, I swear to God, have you guys had a lot of injuries or no?
I don't know. You got to talk to Tony. He doesn't involve me.
Doesn't talk to you about it.
Does not at all. And then it's my fault, or I never ask. It's
but dude.
Yeah, he doesn't want me involved. He wants all the glory, and that's fine with me.
But yeah, so hopefully that's not a long-term injury. I've been kind of hanging in there.
I mean, you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. But seems like he always finds a way to to recover. Maybe it's not that long term, but I think, if the Lakers, you want to do anything, they're going to need him. LeBron, 31 points, 10 assists yesterday. And Reeves, great game. Triple-double, 26 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. I've always really liked him. And one thing, too, kind of I think that has been part of them kind of playing uneven this season. I mean, 17-13 is okay, but Connect got off to a really good start. Has been struggling.
Is he not playing
recently.
right now?
I mean, he played 25 minutes yesterday, had 13 points. But if you look at the game logs recently, a lot of like less than 20 minutes, single-digit points. But I think it's just something rookies go through. He's going to be good. But I just think the more you play him, the better. They actually played Max Christie more minutes yesterday, 16 points and 4 rebounds. So be interesting to see what they do. But you would think even, no matter what happens with AD, it's just you would think they kind of just need something else if they, want to have any type of shot. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I just feel like
that's a good spot for him too.
I feel like, don't you think too with him, like he definitely needs to go somewhere with a lot of veterans around.
Yes.
Because I think he's a younger team. He's not going to take anybody else seriously. He's
No.
like, I'll be the guy. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we'll have to see what happens with him. The Suns, without Devin Booker, defeat the Nuggets 110-100. That was the final game of the night. KD leading the way for the Suns. 27 points and 6 assists. They also got 27 out of Bradley Beal, who, again, a guy I have on my fantasy team, has been in and out of the lineup with injuries. But it just seems like with the Suns, like ever since they put this group together, it's like they can't like break away to being like a dominant team. But you think it's just because like the injuries, sitting out, and then lack of like effort defensively. That's why
definitely.
it seems like it's the same thing though. It doesn't seem like anything has changed at all, even though they've swapped out some of like the surrounding players.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I love Booker too. But he's had some injuries the last couple of years. And I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do there. So they're 15-14. Denver 16-12. So I think everyone expected them to have a couple more wins, but you would think by the end of the season they'll kind of round into form and Jokic for Tony, right? He loves his tennis.
Yeah, he does.
25 points, 15 rebounds yesterday. No one else really did. I mean, Porter had 22, but that's about it. So it's just interesting with the NBA. A lot of conversation. I messaged you before the show about LeBron saying that this has always been our day. It'll be interesting to see what the ratings were. I would say I could see the Knicks game probably having the best ratings yesterday, just because of Wemby at the Garden and stuff. But the other games, I'm sure, were lackluster. And it's funny because they were close, but I guarantee it's like the NFL wiped the floor, even with that Ravens game being 31-2. I bet the ratings weren't even close.
No, I agree.
Do you think though that it's just gonna continue this way and like we'll see other sports like climb well over NBA, or do you think like they end up, I don't know, just doing some type of drastic changes that somewhat turn it around?
I mean, I would think they make changes, but I don't think it will happen soon.
Because I just think it's gonna get to the point where the TV partners just aren't going to pay what they're paying now. So like, I mean, your ratings are cut in half. Like you're getting less money, but then that's a trickle down effect of what the players are making. Salary cap goes down. I mean, people are I'm sure they're already on high alert.
Well, I mean, they should just play better and play harder.
But is there? Do you think that there's anything?
They got to bring the hand check back. I always say that.
Yeah, I know. I do like that. But other than something like that, do you think there's anything else the league can do, or is it all up to the players in your eyes?
I mean, like if the league could bring back hand checking.
Yeah, but other than that, like bring back the hand checking. But then it's just about the players wanting to play and actually trying. Right? I mean, that's what the league, you would think will thrive on,
Yeah.
And I think too, a problem is, it's very like localized. Like, I think some people, oh, they're all around for the Knicks, but then it's like the other games, like they just don't care. And it used to be like an event. Oh, TNT Thursday. I can't wait to watch the games later. That's gonna be sick.
I
and
know.
Like the Saturday games and all that stuff, and even the Christmas games. It used to be a lot different.
It did.
Ernie checking in saying, you're looking good in my fantasy title game. Thank you, Mahomes and Worthy. So
James Worthy?
Xavier.
I'm joking.
I'm not gonna lie, you had me there, buddy. You're a big James Worthy guy?
Oh, not really.
He was just Lakers back in the day with Magic?
Yeah, I think so. He definitely played somewhere else, but that's his shine.
University of North Carolina back in the day. So
The whole thing. I was better than Jordan for 2 weeks. Ha ha ha.
he really wouldn't say that?
Yeah. He said he was better than Jordan for 2 weeks, and that was it.
No, you know who is so tight? Like I haven't heard from him in a while. But I think he's like does NBA TV, or he might even be like on the Kings broadcast. But Rick Barry, like I don't know if you've ever heard him. I mean, it just every single thing he says is just negative.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I haven't heard him on TV in a while.
But you remember that, right?
Yeah.
And he's Brent Barry.
Yep,
and
brother.
John Barry's father, I think, right?
Oh, the dad you're talking
Yes,
about.
yes,
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Just
Bench Goff for Pat and Judy for Worthy. Mr. Worthy.
yeah.
Bronx, Merry Christmas, fellas. Let's go Yankees.
Let's go.
You love
Let's
that.
go. Yes, love to hear it. Yeah, I think, maybe we'll get some, some more, moves. I don't know if it'll be anything major, but I'm sure there'll be, a little tinkering to kind of, round out the offseason and just some clarity, like who's going to play second, unless they end up, acquiring a third baseman. But I think the pitching staff is all set. So that's kind of the final piece there.
Yeah, the Mets pitching staff's the opposite of the Yankees.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think, night and day. I mean, they did bring back Minaya, but it's still, even with bringing back Minaya, like you don't have that horse that it's like, okay, game 7, I have this guy going, I feel great. Like you don't have that. The Yankees have 2 of those guys.
Yeah.
Now with Fried and maybe even a future one in Luis Heel. So
yeah.
Ernie's saying Stroman at 5 makes me happy. I don't think we're gonna see Stroman at 5. Maybe the Mets might trade for him back, honestly, because I think if I had to put the rotation together now, obviously Cole, Fried, and then I think they'll go Heel 3, and then Clark 4, and then. Why am I blanking on the
Rodon?
Oh, yes. Yeah, okay. No. So Rodon. No, they'll probably do Rodon 3, Heel 4, Clark 5. And then Ernie. I love that Ernie gets so fired up for the Mets digs. Like he goes after Kev Do on some of these Instagram lives.
Love it.
But he says Mets signed Soto. They don't care about pitching. LOL.
Yeah. No, they don't care about winning.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in baseball, one guy wins you a World Series. I forgot.
Yeah, exactly. All about the full 26-man roster. But, I can't wait for next baseball season. And it really will fly by. I know it seems like a while. First spring training games, end of February. But it always goes by so quick, that's for sure.
Did you see, last thing on NBA, Dame Lillard giving his money he won from the cup to the staff?
Yes.
Very nice.
I know you've always been a Dame guy.
I have.
I don't know if this is just hearsay or what, but they were just kind of rumoring about him and Siege getting back together.
Where like CJ coming to the
Milwaukee,
Bucks?
yeah.
That'd be dope.
Yeah. But
he's playing well.
Yeah. Wait, I'm trying to think. Is he still in New Orleans?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Zion, I guess, should be coming back soon.
He needs to go to the. He's gonna start.
Yeah, he's gonna leave.
He's gonna work at Five Guys. That's his next landing spot.
But no, that would be interesting with the Bucks. They're 16-12, 5th in the East. So
they're a dark horse this year. They are.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens. And speaking of NBA,
yeah,
it's time, Michael. The long-awaited return. Can we just at least get it from YouTube? The Chicago Bulls, if we don't have it on the board.
We got it ready.
Oh yes, dude. So the first time, long time, the first of 6, the return of the Prism Pack Reveal.
Let's go, dude.
Time code stamped. We're ready to go. And any manifestation here, Michael, a prediction? Give me something as we make our return to the Prism.
I don't know. We're at least gonna get a top. We're gonna get a superstar.
Okay.
In the whole box. I don't know about this pack, but that'd be sick if we got this pack. But
yeah, I know at least one Anthony Edwards card.
Definitely.
That's for sure. But I love the 6-pack. Were they always 6-packs or no?
I think so.
I guess it's just been a while, but 6 seems like a decent amount of cards per pack. So.
Nothing like V Friends. They give you like 4.
Oh yeah. No, you want the full 6. And we get started here. Actually, the former New York Knick, now Boston Celtic, Kristaps
No way.
Porzingis.
Let's go.
So this is a dope card here, number 169. Tony chuckling somewhere.
He is.
But I think a solid card to start. I like the look of it too with the chrome finish.
Yep.
This would be that we do the Barnes and Michael show, that we would get this card in this pack. First pack back. Isaac Okoro. Are we up to 25 Okoros?
We might be.
Number 94.
That is hilarious.
Panini.
Cleveland's another dark horse team we don't talk about a lot.
26-4.
Yeah.
Mitchell's been playing great. Maybe they make an addition. Who knows? But from the Memphis Grizzlies, Jaren Jackson.
Wow, let's go.
Jr. So number 93 here. I think you've always kind of liked Jackson.
I do.
Yeah, so I think that's a solid pull. And one of your favorite people of all time, number 23 for the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James.
Wow.
So number 92. I mean, I think the one thing there for you, Michael, is I think there's value here, though.
Yes,
to this
yes,
card.
yes.
So we like that, of course. And
Like
then,
him as a player, not as a
yes,
human,
no,
you
I
know?
gotcha. And then this seems like somewhat of a rare card. We might need you to
some
do a little
digging.
research. But your guy, you were just talking about him before, from the Milwaukee Bucks, number 0, Dame
Wow,
Lillard. And
let's
number
go.
2, and it says Thunder Road. So I'm imagining this is some type of card, limited release.
We'll definitely do some research.
So that's awesome. And then to finish it out, I think a guy that you like, from back in the day, a legend. I didn't know there were legends in these packs. There were legends in other packs.
In one of the boxes we got, not the rookie packs, no.
Okay, so this is an NBA great card. He once played for the Phoenix Suns. Number 34, Charles
I
Barkley.
knew it. That's sick.
Michael
Let's go.
knew it. So that is your
That's a great
Prism
little
pack
box right
reveal.
there.
I think a way to start.
Yes.
Some momentum.
Yep.
What would you say out of this pack? Between Kristaps, Okoro, Jackson, LeBron, Dame, and Barkley.
In our hearts, Okoro.
In our hearts, Okoro. Yep.
But I think the we got to see what that Dame is.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you that just feels rare to me.
And I want him to win one. Like he deserves one.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's always been good to the game.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, and the fact, too, that he has Giannis, I think that definitely gives him a shot, and I think it would be something, too, if they bring in CJ. That just adds a whole nother element.
Yeah, 100%. I saw a thing that Giannis was working with Kevin Garnett, just like, working on his game a little bit, and Giannis was like, he was sweating more than me.
Really?
Kevin Garnett. Hilarious.
No, I mean, I think, Giannis is one of the harder workers. And, and I'd like to see him get another one, too.
Me too.
Even
It
though it
solidifies
wasn't that long ago, it does solidify
It's
it. And
not 2020.
It feels like that was so long ago.
I know.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. But like I said, great to have the Prisms back. Do we have the protectors on hand?
We do. I got them. Don't worry. I'll put them in and they'll be safe.
Yeah. So no, really excited about that. Yeah, what a great post Christmas show today.
Great post Christmas show.
Little mix of everything, and obviously a full football show tomorrow. So it'd be great to talk about that, make some picks. I know the TCA batting leadoff, even though the season is over. We know Kev Dew looking to end the
on a high
season
note.
on a high note.
Yeah.
Before we get into the playoff picks, which we did win that, so we'll be back to back in terms of pick champs. So it'd be quite some time since the TCA has outdone what we do here at DTV. So
it's only right.
Excited for tomorrow for sure. Will be good to have Matty G.
Oh,
as Michael
yeah,
Bucket would
it's gonna
say
be mad
studio.
fun. It's gonna be an hour of Yankee talk.
Absolutely, and that's how it needs to be.
Tony's gonna mute the YouTube.
But yeah, and great getting the Barnes and Michael's show together once again. Josh B with the LMAO on the way out. But yeah, would really like to thank everybody for tuning in today and continuing to comment, like, and subscribe. All of the archives on the YouTube page, Tony, Michael, Renee, and Jay in costume, the merch at DowntimeTV.com. We want everybody to enjoy the day, enjoy the games, and we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.